This typewriter broke. Well, you gotta love Beatrice K and her red hot mama. And we're talking fire today because Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 is on tap here. And he later used an IBM Wheelwriter, but early on there's sort of a different story of what typewriters he was reusing, and that's kind of interesting. And I mean, how topical. Burning books seems to never go out of fashion. So let's start with Fahrenheit 451. It was a book that I kind of avoided when I was in high school. It's kind of a shame because it's a great book, but at the time I really didn't know it. And it starts off with a bang. It really is an amazing start to a book about burning books. It was a pleasure to burn. It was a special pleasure to see things eaten, to see things blackened and changed, with the brass nozzle in his fist, with this great python spitting its venomous kerosene upon the world. The blood pounded in his head, and his hands were the hands of some amazing conductor, playing all the symphonies of blazing and burning to bring down the tatters and charcoal ruins of history. With his symbolic helmet numbered 451 on his stolid head, and his eyes all orange flame with the thought of what came next. He flicked the igniter, and the house jumped up in a gorging fire that burned the evening sky red and yellow and black. He strode in a swarm of fireflies. He wanted above all, like the old joke, to shove a marshmallow on a stick in the furnace, while the flapping pigeon-wing books died on the porch and lawn of the house. So as the firemen went home that night after burning all of the books and the house, he meets up with a timid little girl, Clarisse McClellan. And here's part of their conversation. Clarisse said, "Do you mind if I ask how long you've worked at being a fireman?" "Since I was 20, 10 years ago." "Do you ever read any of the books you burn?" He laughed. "That's against the law." "Oh, of course. It's fine work. Monday burn Millay, Wednesday Whitman, Friday Faulkner. Burn 'em to ashes, then burn the ashes. That's our official slogan." They walked still farther, and the girl said, "Is it true that long ago firemen put fires out instead of going to start them?" "No. Houses have always been fireproof. Take my word for it." "Strange. I heard that a long time ago houses used to burn by accident and they needed firemen to stop the flames. He laughed. She glanced quickly over. Why are you laughing? I don't know. He started to laugh again and stopped. Why? You laugh when I haven't been funny, and you answer right off. You never stop to think what I've asked you. He stopped walking. You are an odd one. He said, looking at her, haven't you any respect? I don't mean to be insulting. It's just I love to watch people too much, I guess. Well, doesn't this mean anything to you? And he tapped the numeral 451, stitched on his char-colored sleeve. Yes, she whispered. She increased her pace. So these two characters work through the novel with Clarisse being new ideas and the fireman having old ideas. And things change. The fireman changes. I should mention that 451 is the temperature that paper burns, which explains why they have it on their uniforms. And now to get to typewriters. This is a picture of Ray Bradbury's Royal KMM. And he lived a long life, so he used a lot of different typewriters. He wrote Fahrenheit 451 because in UCLA library because he didn't have an office and he had kids and the kids would distract him, and so he went to the basement of UCLA library, and he says, there in neat rows were a score or more of old Remington or Underwood typewriters, which rented out at a dime a half hour. You thrust your dime in, the clock ticked madly, and you typed wildly to finish before the half hour ran out. Thus I was twice driven, by children to leave home, and by a typewriter timing device to be a maniac at the keys. Time was indeed money. I finished the first draft in roughly 9 days. At 25,000 words, it was half the novel it eventually would become. Between investing dimes and going insane when the typewriter jammed, for there went your precious time, and whipping pages in and out of the device, I wandered upstairs. There I strolled, lost in love, down the corridors and through the stacks, touching books, pulling volumes out, turning pages, thrusting volumes back, drowning in all the good stuffs that are the essences of libraries. So, you've seen some images of him with his Royal. He went on to use Selectrics. And here he is, buried in his desk amongst all sorts of memorabilia with his electric. And when they collected all of his notes, there in the front you can see his Wheelwriter. I imagine the last typewriter that he used. This is the Wheelwriter. And it's a daisy wheel. It has lift-off correction, so this is a lift-off sort of ribbon. The daisy wheel is real easy to use. You just push this back, and it has these two here. Lifts out. You can see the name. This is Modern, which is a proportional type, which means like an M is wider than an I. And it just knows how to do all that in there because it's an electronic machine. You turn it on, and it gets itself all ready. What I have in here is actually tracing paper. It's like on a roll. And so I can make huge letters going all the way across, and I can go as long as I want. I think it proves that form can help create content. If you have an endless page, you can just decide when you're done instead of, oh, I'm at the end of the page, my letter's done. And it's been a lot of fun. I've written a couple of letters to people on that, and the correction works very well with this thin paper. It comes off completely because it's not making an impression. It actually works very well. The controls here are pretty easy. There's a code button here, and then you see anything blue like ARTN, auto return. We can put that on. And then line space, here's 1, 1.5, 2, or 3. So we can make it 1.5. And then these lights here say what's being controlled. So the auto return is on and bold is off. Underline is off. Can have it full caps. The margins are set with these buttons, left and right. That's not where you have to hold the code key, but just put it where you want it. Then a margin release if you want it to go further over, and then reset the margin. It's all very functional. Very. And then there's a half backspace if you make a mistake, want to squeeze a letter in. It also has a lot of memory functions, which I don't use very much, although this is the correction button. So, yeah, hello, Oliver. So if you make a mistake and you hit this button several times, it'll automatically know what the letter was and take it off. You don't have to push it, like on a selectric, you push it and then you type the letter to take it off. This knows because it's got some memory. But I think the connection between Bradbury and his beginnings, where he was paying 10 cents a half hour, he wanted to type fast. And I also enjoy typing as fast as I can, like not having anything hold me back. And this is pretty quiet. The hum is fairly quiet compared to my old Selectric that I've now gotten rid of. And so I think this is my go-to long-form typer. I still have the manuals for letters, and if I want to switch up to a particular typeface, I mean, I can switch typefaces, but they're not the old style, so I'll be doing letters on those. But if I want to do a longer form prose or longer poem, this works very well. And it's kind of fun because it's got the wide carriage, and I can do this endless page for letters. So it is a bit noisy. Some people say that these daisy wheels have a lag. That's not really true. I mean, there's no lag in this unit. Maybe some daisy wheels are a little bit where you push it and then there's a beat and then you get the report back. But this is completely excellent. This is the tab, and the tab sets are pretty easy to use. So let's make the right margin right there. I'll show you the auto return, and when it auto returns, it'll store up what you're typing. You don't have to stop and wait for it to go back. So actually goes back and forth fast enough that, but when the margin's way over here, I can actually be typing quite a bit, and it stores it up and then just types it out really quickly and catches up to where I am. So I could see Bradbury, who, you know, grew up having to type fast because he is on the clock, to wanting to type fast because he was used to it. I mean, when you get used to typing things quickly, you don't want anything in your way. And this is a very excellent example of staying out of your way. And I will do a little up close so you can see the different control keys. And there are different models. This is a personal writer. There are a more business model that has where you can save a whole page and then have it reproduce a page out of memory, which would be kind of cool if you wanted typed pages, not a photocopy of a typed page. But so that's the Wheelwriter, and I think it's a dandy, a keeper for me, and one of the few typewriters I'm going to be holding on to and using quite a lot, I think.
Beautiful eyes, beautiful eyes.